guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're gonna be starting off quickly this tutorial. I'm gonna start off by drawing out with a pencil my dragon on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to be lining it with a pen on top so we can have that ink there. And I'm using a pink color since I'm gonna be using greens to paint my dragon. And gonna get ready to apply that on my face, putting my hair back here. And we're gonna grab the dragon, make sure it fits on my face. I want to apply it on my cheek. So I'm just taping it down and grabbing some water and a cotton ball, pressing that down so the ink can transfer onto my skin, kind of like what tattoo artists do, so you can have your tattoo on your skin before. Okay, so I'm going to start off by painting it in. I'm using a green color because that's the color I want my dragon to be. And I'm just filling it out with a small brush because it's easier to just fill it out like that. Now for the scales, I'm using a little turquoise kind of color and gold. The horns, I am painting it the same way, and the outer scales, I guess you can call them, and the eye is also going to be gold. So some of the horns, I'm kind of doing them gold and turquoise. So that's what I am currently doing right now. Now I'm going to start shading and adding some dimension to my dragon. I'm using a dark brown shade. I'm grabbing these really small portions of the color and starting implementing it into the dragon so I can have some shading, some light and dark. And I'm just using brown and all of the green, and also I'm going to be using brown on the gold. For the turquoise, I'm going to be using the green I used on my dragon. I added some white where I needed it to highlight as well. And now I'm just going to be using some black eyeliner and just sketching it out, make sure it's all nice and defined. And now I'm just using some foundation to clean out the edges and the surroundings of the dragon to have a clean cut out dragon. So I'm just going to apply my foundation all over my face now. The only place that I apply foundation was in the area I'm going to put the dragon mask. And now I'm just applying some concealer to prime my eyelids and will conceal my dark circles. Setting that off with some powder and going to the eyeshadow. I wanted a sharp wing cut crease, so I just used a brown transition shade. Now I'm using a terracotta color, blending that out very well on a wing. Now I'm just going to cut my crease with some concealer. I did that with my eyes so I can have a nice cut on my crease and it won't transfer. And with the concealer, I am just cleaning out the wing and having a nice sharp wing. For the eyeshadow, I'm using a gold shade in the outer portion, and in the inner portion, I'm using a greenish gold. And in the outer portion, I added a little bit of copper for more dimension. For the wing, doing an inner eye corner wing and a big wing outside as well, pretty thin. And for the lower lash, I just applied some brown shadow and some white in the inner eye corner to make my eyes look bigger and more narrow. Just applied some lashes and my brows, and now we're going into the dragon mask side. So I'm going to start off with some latex and a little tissue paper, just lining it with some toothpicks in the shape I want my... I don't know if I should call these like fins, but they're kind of like fins. I dipped the toothpicks in the latex, and then I just put them in the way I wanted them to fan out in the tissue paper, covering them up with some more latex and another layer of tissue paper. I repeated this a couple of times until I liked how it was. So that's how it ended up looking. I'm just cutting it all up now and giving it the shape I want. I want it to have like pointy edges at the top. And once I finished cutting them, I added another layer of latex just to seal it all up, and that's how I finished them off. Once they were all dried, I powdered them with some flour. Now I'm just painting them. I'm painting them with some green and then shading them with some brown, kind of the same colors I used on the dragon I drew on my face. And then I just use some gold to highlight the elevated portions where the toothpicks are. So now for the actual portion of the mask, I'm going to be making some latex paste. Just mixing same parts of latex and flour, slowly incorporating it, and I'm just using a little foam head here, dipping my finger in latex so it won't stick to my skin, and I am just blending that out and giving it the shape I want. So once I'm done shaping my mask, I'm going to be cutting up some plastic forks and placing them as little spikes on my mask, and I'm just going to let that dry for like 48 hours. Once it's fully dry, we can start with painting. So I'm using the same color scheme here, painting it all as my base color green. And I'm just fully covering it. I'm using a small brush so I can get all the crevices and in between the little spikes, kind of hard. So I'm really digging in with that green. Using some brown to do the shading, using the same small brush I used to paint my dragon, so I can get in the little spike holes and it can be all nice and shaded in there. Also going to be using a stippling brush to kind of add some little freckles around the mask with the brown, and I'm going to be doing the same thing with the turquoise color to add some highlight in the kind of like the brow bone and the cheekbone as well, and adding some dimension into the dragon mask. So you can see I also added the brown in the inner eye part, so that can be all shaded in. I'm using some of the gold to paint my spikes gold and make them stand out even more. So once I'm done painting that, I'm going to be sticking on the little what you call these so I'm just sticking them in with some latex and some cotton, and you kind of have to hold them down for a bit so they can stay standing up. I was holding them down for like 15 minutes so they can be nice and stuck in there. And once I finished sticking that on there, I painted it, all those areas that were white, I painted them green again. And so that's the whole thing. To remove it, I'm using some flour so it sticks to itself and I can make it even easier. So that's the whole thing. I'm going to use a scissor to cut off all those little extra latex pieces, and I can have a clean edge all around, and it's easier for me to stick them down to my face. So I'm just covering it, the whole thing down with latex inside and sticking that down on my face. So what I did on my brows, I added Vaseline all over my brows. That way it won't stick any latex to them. So my brows were all good. Don't worry about that after I was done. Now I am unraveling a little cotton ball. And I'm going to be using that all around the edges with latex. Since I'm going to do this like if it's coming out of my skin, I am doing this little edge all around of skin so it's ripping out. So while that dries down, I'm going to paint my eye. I just painted it all with brown and blended it out in the edges of the dragon mask. And I also ended up adding some more detail work all around. Now once it was dry, the latex, I was applying some foundation down so it can be all the same color. And now to add some color to those edges and make it look all bloody, I'm using a liquid lipstick. It's like a dark red color. And then I'm using some of that brown face paint to add even more shading. Now I'm just using some blood. This is fake blood, like coagulated. I don't know how you call that. And then I'm just applying some liquid blood, make it all drip down and make it all look messy. For lips, I'm just using that same dark red lip I used, and that's the whole look basically. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, bye guys.